On this episode of Hudson Valley Hustle, I'm joined by Zachary Bonder and Leslie Noble from Noble Pies. From Leslie's kitchen to now 6 retail locations and thousands of pies sold across the country, you're not going to want to miss this episode. Enjoy. So where's the main bakery? Is there one main hub or?
Yeah, so we do all the baking in one facility, and it's in Greenwood Lake, New York.
Okay. That's not far from here. That's
not at all.
Yeah.
We recently moved from our main bakery, which was in Warwick, New York, where we've been for the past 15 years. And we needed to upgrade to a larger space because our business is growing. So
it's a great problem to have.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Good for you. Mm-hmm. So just tell me a little bit about, give me the history of Noble Pies and where it started and where it is now.
Sure. So Noble Pies started technically more than 20 years ago. My mother was always a baker. Her grandfather and her mother always worked, and my great grandmother taught my mother how to bake. And cook. So whenever they would get home late from work, it was usually my mother being nice enough to cook them a really great meal. And my great grandmother is from Texas, and she lived in middle of nowhere, Texas. So she didn't have too much to her devices in terms of I'm going to go to the grocery store and pick out whatever I want. It was these are the 15 things that I can pick from, these vegetables or these spices. So she had to make really good stuff, and that kind of that ties into our product, which is pies. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's how we started. It's about 30 years ago. But to fast forward, during my mother's career, she was a pharmaceutical sales representative, and to get a lot of her accounts, it wasn't just herself, but she was also baking her pies for different doctors to sweeten the deal.
Nice.
She was selling really great products that are good for people and saved lives. But there's just sales and doing business is really about personal relationships, and she. Baking and cooking is a part of her life, so she shared that with whoever she did business with. So that's what my mother did, and in 2008, I'll go back. We moved up here to Warwick, New York, in around 2004. From Rockland County.
Okay.
And we moved up here because my parents wanted to give us me, my brother, and my sister a different type of upbringing. We lived in a cul-de-sac neighborhood, and every day after school, rather than just going home, my mother was throwing us in her minivan, and we were actually taking trips up to Warwick to a horse farm where my sister rode horses. So we were already spending a ton of time up here. And one day, both my parents, I don't know what the exact story is, but they woke up and they were like, "What are we doing? We're spending all of our free time upstate in nature around horses. This is the lifestyle that we want to be living." Mm-hmm. So we took the huge leap of faith, and we went from a 1-acre plot of land with a really beautiful house on it to a horse farm with over 30 horses. That we were soon to be the caretakers of, because we bought a horse boarding business and farm at a very old house, and that's the life that we that I personally got to experience was being up here. And in 2008, when the financial crisis hit, we lost our horse business.
Wow.
Virtually overnight. And the first thing that people got rid of were their luxuries. And I don't know if you know anything about horses, but owning certain horses are like owning a Ferrari,
Right.
with the type of money that you're spending per month.
Okay.
And we were left with all these horses on our farm, and our business was gone, and we had a huge mortgage payment. And we are now assuming the responsibilities of paying for the feed for these horses, their medical care, and our options were try to sell these horses, and nobody wanted to buy them, except for meat processing facilities in Europe. Or our other option was to keep these horses and take care of them. So we had to figure out how to take care of these horses and pay for them, but also take care of ourselves at the same time. And I was still very young, but my mother had two options. And option number one was I'm going to go back into the pharmaceutical world and probably not see my kids that often or spend much time with them, or I can figure something else out. So she was clearly reflecting on her pharmaceutical career history, and she decided that let's try making some pies in my home kitchen. And our farm is located along Route 94 going into Warwick. So it was a pretty prime location. So we found out that one of our neighbors was making butter from home. So my mother called hers and ordered 15 or 20 pounds of butter. After school one day, we went over to our local orchard, which was Ox Orchard. And my mother was basically inquiring to see if we could buy fruit. And they said, yeah, we have fruit, but I don't think we have enough fruit for the amount of pies that you want to make. But if you guys want to go up into the fields at the end of the day after school, you can pick all the fruit you want, and we'll charge you however much less per pound. So that's what we did the first week we tried this. My mother took me, my brother, and my sister up into the orchard, and we picked raspberries and strawberries and blueberries up into the sunset. I loved it. It was such an amazing experience. So we took the fruit and went back to our home kitchen. That Thursday and Friday, we made like 25, 30 pies. We grabbed a picnic table. My stepfather, Tom, he painted a beautiful road sign that says "Turn back for pie" that he put like 100 feet past our little road stand, because most people would drive by and would not even know what they just saw. Like, why is there a picnic table on the side of the road?
Yeah.
I'm going 60 miles an hour. And then they'd see the sign. But long story short, within 2 hours of us being out there, we sold out of pies. And we did the same exact thing. Went to the orchard, called our neighbor, got the butter, made pies in our kitchen, and then we kept going back out there. And we did this for about 5 months until the local police department had to kick us off the side of the road because traffic was moving.
When did they catch on? Because
traffic was moving too slow. So that happened, and then people started knocking at our door, and they're like, "Hey, what's going on with the pies?" And we're like, "We're trying to figure out what to do." So we basically started selling pies out of our front doorstep. And we took all the names that we had from our customers that we met, and this was leading up until Thanksgiving. We decided that we're going to try to do a mail order Thanksgiving business. And my sister had just gotten her driver's license, and I think I'm past the 5-year statutory, but we went to people's mailboxes and we put little flyers in their mailboxes that said, this is before Facebook was a thing, and there was any type of like marketplace for local communities to chat. So we put flyers in mailboxes that said that we're taking Thanksgiving pre-orders. But long story short, that Thanksgiving, we rented out the ovens at a local bagel shop. and we baked over 500 pies, and me and my sister delivered them to people's homes for Thanksgiving.
That's great.
Which is, I don't know how we pulled it off. It was a very long day. But we used the money that we made, and we were able to put down a deposit for our first storefront. And that was the inception of Noble Pies.
That's amazing. Yeah. I love the story of like, it started at the home kitchen, selling them on the side of the road, to now it's 6 locations?
Yeah.
And you're on TV also?
We go on QVC network around the holidays.
So you sold 500 pies for that Thanksgiving, and that kind of like jump started the whole, like basically what it is now, right?
Yeah.
How many pies are you guys selling on a regular basis? Like let's say Thanksgiving, your average Thanksgiving now, what does that look like?
It's really interesting. We just started growing Noble Pies into what it is now only 3 years ago, actually. So 3 years ago, we had 1 location. But we made a group family decision because my mother and my stepfather, Tom, I took a brief hiatus from the business for a few years. And I officially came back 3 years ago. But we had to make a decision, which was, do we want this business to support our whole family, and do we want it to grow? And we all were so inspired by, especially this was during COVID times. When COVID happened, it was like a really gloomy time for a lot of people. And it was also like a good time for introspection for us, because the pie business is a grind. It's like owning a pizza shop. You work late and work long hours. It's the restaurant business. So we decided to close for a few weeks and regroup ourselves, because when COVID happened, a lot of the restaurants in our town and the area closed, either closed or they had staffing issues for a lot of reasons. But because we weren't under the category of a restaurant, we were actually allowed to stay open. So when COVID happened, this influx of people found out that Noble Pies was open. So every single day of the week, when COVID was happening, we would actually have a drive-through line of traffic in our bakery parking lot for people who wanted to pick up chicken pot pies, and we were literally running savory pies out the door to people, and it really became a thing. And it was a crazy time, and we were baking hundreds of pies, and then we started making thousands of pies, and then we got invited to be a part of a very popular farmers market group in Westchester called the Morning Glory Markets, and because another pie business went out of business. And then we went to making even more thousands of pies. And we're like, holy crap, people really want our product. We're making the pies the exact same way, which is by hand, from scratch, slow cooked. When you try our chicken pot pie, it's like eating a home cooked meal.
And I 100% will. I'm just 100% will be having that later.
You'll get a taste for it.
Yeah.
And because we're making things the way that, my mother always made them, and the way my great grandmother taught my mother, people said it was we got the nicest comments about how your pies were the saving grace for our mental health or our family.
Amazing. During
COVID. We're delivering pies to the hospital all the time, and it was a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And we're we can't not get more pie to more people. How can we not do this? So we decided to take a leap of faith and open up our first store in Westchester in 2022, I believe.
So that was store number 2?
That was store number 2 in Rye in Westchester. And then every year we pretty much been opening up a store, one store at a time.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah,
that's so crazy.
We were invited to go on QVC network.
I want to get into how you got onto that, but I just want to ask you, so if you're making thousands of pies, how do you still maintain that homemade kind of taste and feel and all that when you're trying to do it at that large of a scale? Is the team pretty large now making pies?
Yeah, we have a few dozen employees. However, the truth of the matter is that you kind of have to figure it out on your own, but also with the help of there's industry experts in the baking world, and we hired an engineer who is a wonderful human being named Jim Klein, and he helped us identify the equipment to make our pies the same way that we want to. And sometimes it's equipment that has to be custom built for your process. So it really, to answer your question, is it's industry help, but it's also your own personal decision, because I know exactly how to make our chicken pot pie in a much easier way, but we choose not to. So there is like a level of difficulty to it. But we know that our customers are willing to pay for a more higher quality product. So we work that into, I guess, the cost of our pies. So the cost remains higher than it would, but it is scalable. Yeah.
That's amazing. I love that. Yeah, I just love that small batch kind of feel, but at the scale that you guys are doing now, with 6 locations, and that's unreal. So in addition to the locations and QVC, which is awesome, is that the only place that you can get your pies?
No, we just, through 15 years of being in business, we figured out what our customers want the most, what flavors we want the most, and within our business, we've figured out what size of pie people are interested in, and also I've been paying a lot of attention to the market, and we've worked with the local SCORE program to get industry data on what the current demographic is, and the current demographic is that there's more smaller households than ever, and we also can't open up a store in every single town, which is obvious. So to answer your question, we just started wholesaling our pies, and it's a smaller version of what you'll find at our stores, but it's still the exact same product. And we just started wholesaling our product 2.5 months ago, and we've gone into a few notable stores. One is Fresh Direct. They distribute all throughout New York City. They have a couple million customers, in Westchester and Bergen County. We also sell our pies in Union Markets, which is a grocery chain in New York City.
Okay.
There's a lot of like mom and pop grocery stores that we're selling to now.
Okay.
But if you go on our website, you can search. There's like a search
map
locator.
pops up and all that.
Yeah,
love it. That's so cool.
There's several hundred and even thousand grocery stores that are in the pipeline that I can't talk about.
Yeah, no, I get it. But that's it's unbelievable.
Yeah,
it's. Do you get a lot of people? Because I didn't know about you guys until you had reached out, and we saw your location, but I didn't really put 2 and 2 together. Do you get that a lot? Where it's like I can't believe you guys are doing this out of here, right? Like
all the time.
Yeah.
Yes. If you were to park your car across the street from our bakery, and play detective, you'd see that the lights are on 24 hours a day. And there's always someone inside.
Yeah. So food is one of the hardest markets to tap into. It's because you throw a stick, there's competition, right? How do you get to the point where you're at? Is there a secret sauce that at least was applicable to Noble Pies that maybe you can share? Because it's such a hard industry to not only start, but then make money and then expand at the level that you guys are at.
Several things. I'm just going to speak for myself and what's worked for us.
Right.
I'm just going to go at random. So thing number one is it's silly, but it's true. It's determination and just like believing that you're going to get to where you want to be. That's number one, because the reality is that there's so many different areas and aspects of this business. And like, yes, like we are technically like a startup. So we're all wearing so many different hats. So it's how you believe you're going to get there and your mission. The second one is your team. And I don't think that's spoken about enough, but especially in restaurants and this type of business, like we're not behind the computers. Like or not to bash anyone who does anything behind the computer, but like your core team matters so much because we interface with the public so much. And we had such a difficult time ourselves when we decided to make this decision to grow, because a lot of our customers came to our store for us specifically, not just the product, but it was also us. And when we went from us being in the store to like, I'm behind the computer more than ever nowadays. Like I have to be, and I'm all over the place, but we spend so much time and effort and energy investing into our employees to communicate everything you need to know about our product and our story, which is so important. I think your story drives your business even more than the actual product sometimes. Yeah. And I'm definitely lucky enough that the product is like on par with our story. So we spend a lot of time training our employees to communicate our message and our mission and to handle customers the way they want to be handled when it comes to service, because Noble Pies is mostly a public facing business with our storefronts. And that's because word of mouth is still one of the most powerful forms of marketing and advertising. And that leads me to my next point of how I think that one of the reasons why we're successful is because we give away so much pie for free, whether it's charity events or fundraisers or
podcasts.
Podcasts. Maybe don't tell them how many pies I gave you. You're going to set a very difficult expectation.
Yeah, right.
This is my first podcast ever, by the way.
I love
it. So giving pies away, we do charity events. We go to the hospital, to the ER room, and nurses are working sometimes more than just a 13-hour shift. Yep. We're surprising them with pie. We also, every town that we have a pie shop in, my mother goes out of her way to teach baking classes at the local library or Legion.
Amazing.
For free or for a very small fee, which if anyone wants to participate in one,
plug it.
go on our website or follow us on Facebook, because my mother is still in charge of our Facebook, which again, that's the personal connection to our customers.
I love it.
So she'll announce where she's teaching pie making classes, and they are really fun.
That's awesome. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I think I want to do something that I didn't really plan on doing, but I think in a couple minutes I'd like to switch. I want to bring your mom in for a little bit. Are you cool with that?
Sure.
Yeah.
Tom, we're gonna do that, and we're gonna leave all this in because I think why not?
Cool.
I want to definitely hear from you for sure. So, but yeah, so it's the determination, it's the team, and it's the marketing and
getting yourself out there as much as you possibly can, and being seen in like this day and age of technology and social media. Like, you only have so much time to get seen by someone.
Yeah.
And last but not least, it's like location. It's really a huge part of it.
So cool.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I love it. This is like, This is like family business on steroids. I love it. This is so cool.
Yeah. It's my partner's in the business. My brother helps out all the time. My sister's giving me outside advice. And the last thing I'll say is having a network of people who are either in your industry or like just having allies that you can talk to. We're friends with owners of massive food companies and who are extremely successful, who go out of their way to make time for us to give us advice because they see where we're at and they've been through the same struggle. And a lot of people feel like they have to put their head down all the time. And my head is down most of the time. But I know, and my mother knows, that time has to be made just for networking and getting advice and
absolutely,
and making sure that you're making informed decisions, because as a business owner, I'm making decisions all day.
Yeah.
So it really helps.
I love it.
Yeah.
No, that's amazing. Is there anything else that you want to add? I definitely want to bring your mom in for a little bit because I have some questions for her too. Because this is
I think just staying as authentic as possible.
Yeah.
You know, like I still manage our social media with my partner, and like some days I wake up and I'm like, what the hell am I going to get content of? Like, am I just going to like keep taking videos of like the process of pies being made? Are people getting sick of this? And I find that the most interaction and feedback that I get is because I'm in it all the time in the bakery, but most people are not in these environments.
That's exactly right.
So showcasing the process of like, we cut butter at 5 o'clock in the morning. We make our dough from scratch every single day. People really appreciate the beauty of it, and there is a beauty to it, like visually and when you're just handling the product, it's like making art. It's a beautiful process.
I love it.
Yeah.
No, that's like people like seeing transformations on the internet, right? So seeing something out of nothing, and this is exactly that. And the way that you do it too, I'm sure is not, it's like almost like an old world way of doing things that is kind of foreign now, right? So there's an appreciation for seeing somebody cutting fresh butter or making fresh dough. There's just something special about that still.
I'll add one more thing. I love living in New York for the seasons specifically, and the fact that we get to have a taste of every season is amazing. So our menu is seasonal. So we'll have peach pie during the summer. Even throughout the fall, like our apple flavors change. So our apple pie will taste different like 2 weeks from now than it will taste this week. Strawberry rhubarb. And then also we make amazing savory pies. So whatever is in season, vegetable wise, you can taste like heirloom tomato and basil pie with fresh scallions that my mother grew in the garden. We make over 70 different flavors, so there's a lot to pick from.
That's so cool.
I
love it.
I think that's everything that I can share right now.
That's great. All right, we're good. Let's switch over.
Okay.
And now we're back again. Hi, Leslie.
Hello.
So your business sounds amazing. Family business. You've been baking pies forever.
Feels like forever.
Do you still love baking the way you did?
I do. And as Noble Pies has grown, like that's the one thing that's been very difficult for me, is not to be in the bakery every single day. Because when it was just my husband Tom and I, literally, for so many years, like our days were every day, 7 days a week. If we were baking, we were taking care of the front of the store, whatnot, and it's been really hard to transition. But I'm getting better at it, and I still do go in, several days a week, and I'll do like a lot of our specialty products. I work on creating new recipes because my mind is always going crazy about new things that I can do. I do make our soups. We have some pretty outrageous soups, and I'll do specialty cakes, which my grandmother, being a Texan, could make cakes like you just wouldn't believe. And Zachary keeps trying to get me to put them all on the menu, but right now we just don't really have a facility that can handle all of it. So we do that by special order.
Gotcha. Was it hard for you to kind of like relinquish a lot of the control over the process?
Yes, because I'll admit I am like a very type A personality, and it's like stuff is just always going on in my brain 24 hours a day. And, I just felt like, I could never relinquish making, like chicken pot pie. Nobody can make it like I can make it. But, I started realizing if we're really going to grow this company, it's important. And, scaling the recipes, getting them bigger and bigger, and just my oversight over all of the process is the most important thing that I can do now. And doing the taste testing, because I'll go into the bakery random times of the day and take a visual look, make sure that the product looks exactly like the pie I make. Because, you look like there's a number of slits that we put on the top of the pie to vent it. Well, they have to be on there a certain way because that's what a noble pie looks like. Like the fluted crust has to look the way Leslie Noble makes it because that's what a noble pie looks like. And all those little attentions to detail are really important. And our customers, like over the years, have said, that's how we know how much you care about your product. Because the pies always look exactly the same, or the label on the box is perfectly placed. Those little things are so important. And it really does, I think, scream to our customers, the Nobles, they really care about what they make. Mm-hmm. And we do, every little attention to every ingredient that is in that pie is so important.
I love it. It's a difficult thing to get to the level that you're at.
It is.
In that industry, and especially with, I'm sure there's regulation and things that you guys had no idea were going to come into play. Going from selling from a picnic table on the side of the road to selling, thousands and thousands of pies. I'm sure there's a lot that, somebody that's maybe where you were in your kitchen right now can't even fathom.
Right.
To get to that level.
It's like when we went on QVC and we decided to go on with our chicken pot pie. Well, we had to be USDA inspected. Mm-hmm. So that was, we had to put our staff through training. We'd put ourselves through training. We had a consultant come in and look at our bakery and tell us what we needed to do to the bakery just to make it, meet the regulatory standards that are really very vigorous. And have a USDA inspector on site watching what you're doing, when you're in production. And that was really scary, and it was a lot of work, but at the same time, going through that, it pushes you to be even better. Mm-hmm. And, and all those things that we've learned along the way just continues to make our product better and better. As we grow.
Sure, absolutely. And you have to be able to because you have to keep that quality. You want to keep that quality the same as if you're making it out of your kitchen. And that's...
Right. And that's what we've been so protective of, is that we really just don't want to lose that taste that we've been able to cultivate. And I think what was really great is through our growing process is that because... Tom and we were face to face with the customer. I used to experiment all the time on customers. Like, just for example, this is not a pie, but crumb cake. Like, I am like a crumb cake aficionado. Like,
big fan.
It's either perfect or it's not. There's no in between. It has to meet a certain standard. And I used to always say to myself, if I ever had a bakery, which I never thought I was going to, I'm going to have crumb cake on the menu. So one weekend, I decided I was going to make like 6 variations on crumb cake. I knew which one I liked, but I had to make sure that the public liked it. And I invited our customers to come in and try it for free all weekend long. And but the only criteria was you had to vote. So people voted, and sure enough, the one that I thought was the perfect crumb cake is what everybody picked. And to this day, that's what we make. And so our whole menu has evolved that way. Like even some of the pies that I've made are ones that people that I didn't even know existed. That, like Banafi, one of our customers, he was on a business trip, stayed in a beautiful castle over in Scotland, and he said every night he'd go down to the buffet table and there was this pie, he goes, called a Banafi. And I was like, what the heck? And he's like, could you see if you could make it for me? So I did some research, created a pie, did a little tweaking, and invited him to come in to have the pie, and he went crazy. And so that's on our menu.
Oh, wow.
And we
great.
have lots of products that were all customer inspired, because we listen to what our customers tell us. Like, we're always seeking feedback because we want to have product that's what the customers want.
Yeah.
And I think that's really helped us. You know, like, I know what I like. Like I'm not a big chocolate fan. Well, we had to come up with a chocolate cream pie because I used to get yelled at because I wasn't making any chocolate pie.
That's funny. Yeah, give the people what they want.
You give them what they want.
Yeah. But with your particular flavor. How did the QVC thing come out? Because that's fascinating to me.
Well, this is really crazy, is that we were pursued by QVC for, it had to be like 8 years.
So they scouted you? They
scouted,
found you?
They
found
scouted
you guys?
us. And the particular individual that kept coming to us, he kept having like situations arise where Noble Pies would be there. Like, he'd go to a party or a picnic, or, you know, somebody that worked for him one day brought in Noble Pies. It just like,
so you were constantly on their radar.
Always on his radar. So he would call me every 6 months, like clockwork. Are you ready? Are you ready? And I was just like, you got to be kidding me. I said, come to the bakery one day and look at where we are. You know, half the store is 1,000 square feet. Half is is where we bake, and the other half is the retail front. Where would this even happen? So he came, and he's like, "Oh, you could do it. You could do it." Blah blah. And I'm like, "You're crazy." So anyway, this went on for 8 years. And one day he calls and he says, "I have an idea. I'll connect you with a co-packer, which is somebody who you can teach how to make your pie. They'll be able to make it for you. Would you go on if I can make all this happen?" And so I agreed to do it. And that's really what started the whole entire process. And we did try using a co-packer, but we found that Tom, my husband, and I, we both went to the co-packer, and we ended up, all I can say is it was a good thing that we were there to make sure it went properly. So having had that experience, we made the decision, when we go on again, we're doing it ourselves.
Interesting.
Just because we want to keep tight reins and control on everything. And so we started going on. And so we decided to have Zachary go on as a young man, appealing to the QVC crowd. And that worked very, very well. So what was really insane was he went on for Christmas in July. And based on what we had been selling, we were guessing he would probably get orders for maybe 5 or 6,000 pies. And Zachary goes on, he gets orders for 20,000 pies. They were, and it was just like in the movie, I don't know if you've seen the movie Joy.
No.
Which is all about QVC.
Oh, okay.
Definitely a must watch. But anyway, he basically broke the line, all the incoming communication lines because they were so overwhelmed. And this all happened
awesome.
in 8 minutes, which
Wow.
is just staggering.
So there's still power in that then, huh?
There's so much power in it. It's amazing. And it's like, there's no real other way to get that type of national exposure.
Yeah. And that's short of a period of time.
And that's short of a period of time. Like, you could never afford to buy
Yes, yeah, exactly.
that advertising
Yep,
time.
absolutely.
And that's the beauty of what QVC does. And it was so unbelievable. We didn't know how we were going to get it all done. Without going into all the gory details, it was really, really rough.
Okay.
As you can imagine, because
Yeah.
those pies had to be made about 2/3 of them were made for Thanksgiving. The other third were for Christmas, because that's what they were. There were 2 different ship dates.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so not only were we doing that, but we were also making all of our
doing your
retail holiday
regular
stuff.
business, sure.
So all of us, we were working all day long. And then about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, we'd start making the QVC pies that had to be made. And we were leaving at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And then we were back again the next morning at 7
that's
a.m.
wild.
But we got every single pie made and delivered, which was unbelievable.
Wild. How often are you on there now?
Well, now we are kind of like taking a break, and
Okay.
and QVC is okay with it.
Okay.
Until we can be into a facility that is much larger
Gotcha. Okay.
than the one we're in.
Yep. Okay.
Because we're almost afraid of
Right.
what might happen. So we want to make sure that we're in a better
that's-
situation, and we don't want to take away anything from our retail.
Yeah, gotcha.
business
Yeah, because that's
either. You don't want that to
exploded
suffer.
too, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
because that really had taken off too.
Yeah, because it's like the QVC exposure, like every time Zachary would go on, all the sales at our stores, which I think we just had the 1 or 2 stores, would increase. You know, even
Just the
even
awareness,
local
right?
people.
Yeah.
People would like see us on QVC, and it's like, oh my God, they're just right over in Warwick. I can just run right over there, you know. Or people would drive even 2 hours to come because they could get it right from the
Sure.
retail location.
Yeah.
So it was really phenomenal.
Oh, that's amazing.
Phenomenal.
That's so cool. I'm so happy for you guys. So it's so cool. I'm sorry. I didn't know you guys were at this level. I didn't know you existed until I met Matt from Ash Hopper. Yeah, this is wild.
Wow.
I love it. This
Great.
is so cool. Well, is there any other tips or advice that you can give to somebody that's maybe where you were, 15, 20 years ago?
I would say the most important advice is that you have to believe in yourself. I would say, like, you should shut out the noise around you. Like the things that I find really distracting, particularly now as social media continues to grow, is like, I don't like to look at what's out there and what other people are doing. I stay very focused, like particularly for the actual product development, I stay focused on what I'm all about, because I don't want to lose that. And I don't want to be influenced by what somebody else is doing, because I know that the way I think and the way I want things to be is unique. And so I think it's important to filter the noise, set your goal, don't lose sight of why you want to or why you are where you are in your product development, and just keep forging ahead. And there are going to be times where you're like, what the hell am I doing? Like, my life could be so much easier if I wasn't doing this. I could be back in the pharmaceutical business, and it was a lot easier. But you don't, if it's in your DNA to be an entrepreneur, just keep following your dream. And you may not be successful, but you don't want to ever get to a point in your life where you look back and say, oh, I wish I had done it. To me, that would be the worst thing.
Worse than failing.
Yes,
Yeah.
much worse than failing. Because there's nothing wrong. I mean, and you're going to fail along the way. little fails, but that's okay, because that's how you grow. That's how you get strong. You have to believe in yourself, and you've got to have the courage to do it, because it's scary. It's
Absolutely.
real scary.
Yeah.
But if you develop a strong customer base, and it's the people who've been with you along your path, the customers that believe in you and understand what you're doing, take them along the ride with you, because they're going to be your support system. They're going to be the ones that, when you wake up in the middle of the night wondering, if I should do this or not, just think about those people that you've met along the way, and they're the reasons why you do what you do.
That's great. I love it.
So.
It's a hell of a story. That's for sure.
It's some story.
It's wild. It's so cool to see. Really, like, it's inspiring. It really is. It's so cool.
Thank you.
So if somebody hasn't heard of you yet, where can they get in touch, and where can they buy your pies? And
Yeah, so you can go to our website at Noble Pies. We're on social media. Zachary said I'm allowed to handle the Facebook part of it.
Okay.
And on Instagram. And we have our store in Warwick. We'll soon be opening the front of the bakery down in Greenwood Lake, because there's a little
cool.
retail section. It's not
sweet.
officially open, but like, if you come bang on the door loud enough, we'll sell you a pie. And then we're in Tarrytown, which is a darling little store on Main Street. It's a beautiful back courtyard. Our Rye store, beautiful, right next to the Rye Library. And Beacon's like my favorite of the store. Beacon's awesome, and it's just like the store has such a cool vibe, and the town is really awesome, and we're right on Main Street.
Perfect.
So, and then you'll find us in some of the local grocery stores. I have people, like friends of mine, who like will go someplace, and all of a sudden they'll see our pies sitting on the shelf, and they're like texting me. They're going berserk. What's your pie doing here? You didn't tell me it was in this store. So that's really exciting.
It's amazing. Awesome.
And then if you want to get in touch with me, if you want me to come show you how to bake a pie, if whatever your event is, like Zachary mentioned, we do local libraries, because it's a way we keep in touch with the public, and it's our way of giving back. But just email us at info@Noble Pies, and
Do you do private classes too?
I do.
Okay.
Yep.
That's good to
Private
know.
classes are a lot of fun.
I'll bet. Yeah.
Yeah, we have a blast. And our new bakery location in Greenwood Lake is really charming. It has a real old world feel to it, and we'd be happy to do it.
Awesome. I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on. This was great. I
Thank
appreciate you being able to just jump in and take
fine. I
over too. I
appreciate
love
you
it. This is
letting me
great.
do it.
That worked out really good. Leslie, Zachary, it was
cool.
really good to meet you guys. Good luck with everything.
Thank you.
And we will definitely be digging into some of these pies on camera later on at some point, because we'll
fantastic.
So thank you so much for coming. Good luck.
You're so welcome.
And see you soon.
Great.